The elevator doors opened with a soft ding, and I stepped out, balancing a small bouquet and a bag of Lena's favorite takeout. She's going to lose her mind when she sees me, I whispered to myself. The hallway felt still. Only the faint hum of the lights above followed me to our door. I slipped the key in, smiling. Surprise, Lena. Laughter. Soft, breathless laughter. I froze. It was hers. Then another voice, low, familiar, and wrong. Ryan. For a second, I told myself it wasn't what it sounded like. Maybe he'd stopped by. Maybe they were watching something funny. My fingers tightened around the food bag until it crinkled. I took one slow step inside. The living room was dark except for a thin line of light from the half-closed bedroom door. Ryan, stop. Lena's voice, shaky, laughing again. My stomach twisted. Come on, he murmured. You said you missed me. I couldn't breathe. I pressed my back against the wall. Heart pounding so loud I was sure they could hear it. No, don't, she whispered. But her tone wasn't fighting. It was falling. Something inside me cracked. I walked to the door and pushed it open. They both turned at once. Her wrapped in a sheet, his shirt half-buttoned. For a moment, none of us spoke. The air itself felt heavy, like it wanted to collapse. Ethan. Lena's voice broke. You're home? Ryan's face drained of color. It's not. Don't, I said quietly. My throat burned. Don't say it's not what it looks like. No one moved. I stared at them, my brother and the woman I thought I'd marry. Every memory, every laugh, every plan we made, all of it flashed behind my eyes, turning to ash. How long? I asked. Lena's hands trembled. Ethan, please listen. How long? My voice came out sharper. Ryan looked away. It just happened, man. It wasn't planned? I almost laughed. Not planned? You were supposed to be at Mom's tonight? I was, he said, voice low. Then Lena called. She said she needed someone to talk to. Lena shook her head fast. No, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was lonely. You were gone, and what? I cut her off. You tripped and fell into him? Her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, please. I dropped the flowers on the floor. Red petals scattered like small wounds. I left early just to surprise you. I thought, maybe we needed a weekend together. I wanted to fix things. She reached for me. I love you. Stop. I stepped back. Don't say that word. Not now. Ryan tried to stand taller. Look, I know it's bad, but what? I snapped, my voice finally breaking. You're my brother, Ryan, he swallowed. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean to? I laughed, bitter and hollow. You had every chance to stop. Silence. I looked at her again. Was he worth it? She sobbed. It wasn't about that. I was scared. You were always so focused on work. So it's my fault? No, you just what, Lena? My chest felt like it was caving in. You just forgot who you were with? Forgot who trusted you? Ryan's voice rose. Enough, Ethan, blame me, not her. I turned to him slowly. I blame you both. Lena's tears streamed down her face. Please don't hate me. I don't, I said quietly. I can't hate you. I'm just done. She grabbed my arm. Please don't leave. We can talk. There's nothing left to talk about. Ryan took a step forward. Ethan, let me explain. I glared at him. You already did. I walked toward the door, each step heavier than the last. Behind me, Lena cried, Where are you going? Anywhere but here. Please don't tell Mom and Dad, Ryan said, voice cracking for the first time. I paused at the door, looking over my shoulder. You think I care what they know? You broke more than family tonight. The hallway light spilled over them, two shadows tangled in guilt. Ethan, wait. Lena called. Please, just listen. I turned halfway, meeting her eyes one last time. I did listen. For years, I heard everything you ever said about love, loyalty, and forever. I believed every word. She sobbed harder. I'm sorry. Yeah, I whispered. So am I. I stepped out, closed the door, and leaned against it, shaking. The walls seemed to breathe with me. I could still hear her crying through the wood, soft and broken. Ryan said something, but I didn't care enough to make out the words. I stared at the bouquet lying in my hand. No, what was left of it? Crushed stems, torn paper. That was us. I walked to the elevator, each step echoing. My reflection in the mirrored wall looked like a stranger. My eyes were empty, my hands trembling. The doors closed slowly, and I whispered, It's over. When the elevator descended, I felt something leave me. Maybe love, maybe trust. Maybe both. By the time I stepped out into the night, the city lights blurred through my tears. I wanted to scream, to break something. But all I could do was walk. Just walk until the cold air burned my lungs enough to remind me I was still alive. And in that emptiness, one quiet thought formed, almost too soft to hear. They killed the old me tonight. I kept walking. The mornings feel the same. The alarm rings, the coffee burns, and silence fills every corner of my apartment. Mom called again today. Ethan, honey, have you eaten? Yeah, I said. Though the untouched plate in front of me said otherwise, her voice cracked. Your father hasn't spoken to Ryan since that night. He barely comes out of his study. I don't blame him. I wish you'd talk to him too. There's nothing left to say, Mom, she sighed softly. He's still your brother. I swallowed hard. Not anymore, she started crying. I didn't stop her this time. Please, she said, don't let this destroy you. I stared at the window, watching rain smear the glass. It already did. When I hung up, the apartment felt heavier. My phone buzzed again a few minutes later. Ryan. I stared at the screen until it went dark. I couldn't hear his voice again. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Work was supposed to be a distraction, but even my office felt suffocating. Cole, my business partner, leaned on the doorframe one afternoon. You've been staring at that same spreadsheet for an hour, he said. Numbers don't lie, I muttered. Yeah, but they don't talk either, I sighed. That's kind of the point. He sat down across from me. Look, man, I heard what happened. I'm sorry, I looked up slowly. Don't be. It wasn't your fault. I know, but just drop it, Cole, please. He hesitated. You sure you're okay? No, I said flatly. But I will be. He nodded and left, closing the door quietly behind him. For a while, the only sound was the clock ticking. Every tick felt like a heartbeat I didn't want to feel. At night, I couldn't sleep. I'd close my eyes and still hear them. The laughter, the whispering, the sound of her saying his name. I got up, poured a drink I didn't want, and sat on the balcony. The city lights looked blurred, almost like they were mocking me. My phone buzzed again. Lena, the preview, lit up the screen. Please, let's talk. My chest tightened. I read it once, twice, a third time, then I deleted it. There was no satisfaction in it, just quiet. But that quiet was different. It wasn't emptiness anymore. It was something colder, something sharper. The next morning, Mom called again. Did you get Lena's message? She asked, her voice tentative. Yeah. And? I deleted it. Oh, Ethan. She made her choice. I'm making mine. What choice is that? To move on. Do you mean that? I looked at the faint reflection of myself in the kitchen window. I don't know yet. Dad took the phone then. His voice was firm. Ethan, yeah? I'm proud of you. That caught me off guard. For what? For not going back, I didn't reply. He didn't need me to. The days started to blend after that. I went to work. Came home, slept, repeated. No calls, no friends, no laughter. Just the routine. Cole tried to drag me out once. Come on, man, one beer won't kill you. It might save you from dying of boredom, he added. I smirked faintly. I'll pass. You can't keep living like this. Who said I'm living? He stared at me for a second, then shook his head. You know what? When you're ready to stop being a ghost, call me. He left and I was alone again. Just me and the hum of the refrigerator. That night, I sat on the couch and stared at the blank TV screen. My reflection looked hollow. I whispered, what's left of me anyway? No answer, of course. Just silence. I thought about Lena's laugh, Ryan's smirk, Mom's tears, and then I thought about the way I'd walked out that night. How my legs shook, but I didn't turn back. That was the moment I realized something important. I wasn't broken. Broken things don't move. Don't breathe. Don't think I was still here, and if I was still here, that meant I could rebuild, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. I exhaled slowly, leaned back, and stared at the ceiling. The quiet wasn't so loud anymore. It wasn't killing me, it was shaping me. For the first time in weeks, I felt something small but real. Control. Okay, I said softly to the empty room. You win, life. You knocked me down, but I'm still here. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number. You'll thank me someday. I stared at it for a long moment before blocking the number. My voice came out calm this time. Not today, Lena. I set the phone down, turned off the light and let the darkness wrap around me. Not as an enemy, but as armor. Because deep down I could feel it. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the silence before something new began. Ethan, you're zoning out again. I blinked, realizing the woman beside me had caught me staring at nothing. Her voice was calm but edged with amusement. Sorry, I said, shifting in my seat. Guess I'm not used to networking events anymore. She smiled. Not the kind that pitied, but one that challenged. Then start now. I'm Mia Carter. Mia, I repeated, shaking her hand. Ethan Cole. I know, she said, leaning back. Your company's presentation last year was brilliant. Then you disappeared. People said you were restructuring. That true? I let out a small laugh. Something like that. More like reconstructing myself. Her eyebrow lifted. That sounds harder. It is, I admitted, sipping my coffee. But I'm getting there. She studied me for a moment. Good. Most people drown and call it destiny. You seem like you're still swimming. Barely, I said. But I guess that counts. She chuckled softly. It does. Besides, you don't strike me as the type who stays down for long. Her confidence was disarming. Effortless, not forced. We talked through the next session, ignoring the speaker entirely. She didn't ask about my past, didn't pry. Instead, she asked about my ideas, my goals, my drive. What made you start your company? She asked. Belief, I said after a pause. That I could build something honest. Honesty, she mused. That's rare currency in business. It's rarer in people, I murmured before realizing how bitter I sounded. She tilted her head. You sound like someone who learned that the hard way. I smiled faintly. Yeah, you could say that. She didn't press further. Instead, she said, then maybe it's time to rebuild with stronger foundations. Her words lingered long after the seminar ended. A few weeks later, I met her again, this time intentionally. She had emailed me a proposal, a collaboration between her firm and mine. I said yes before reading it. Eager, aren't we? Cole teased when I told him. Professional interest, I said. Uh-huh, he smirked. Sure, professional. When Mia arrived at our office, Cole's grin widened. Ah, so this is the woman who got you to stop glaring at spreadsheets. Cole, I warned. Mia laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. She handed me a folder. Let's skip the small talk. You said you're restructuring. I've got investors who'd love to back something real. Cole glanced at me. She's serious, I nodded. So am I. We spent hours discussing strategies, ideas, markets, everything but the past. I liked that about her. With Mia, conversations felt forward-facing. When the meeting ended, she said, You've got potential, Ethan. You just stopped seeing it. Maybe, I said. But I'm trying to. Then you're already halfway there. Weeks blurred into months. Work consumed me, but this time it didn't feel like drowning. Mia pushed me, argued with me, inspired me. Every time I doubted myself, she called me out. Stop apologizing for existing, she said once after a meeting. I'm not. You are, she insisted. You shrink when people challenge you. You weren't like that before, were you? No, I admitted quietly. I used to believe in myself. Then find that man again. I looked at her, realizing she wasn't just talking about business. Cole noticed the change too. You're smiling again, he said one evening. Am I? Yeah, and not the fake kind. Feels good to have you back. It feels good to be back, I said. But at night, when the noise settled and silence crept in, I still heard them. The whispers from that night. The laughter. Ryan's voice. Lena's breathless confession. It didn't hurt the same way anymore. It burned. Quieter, sharper, cleaner. That pain was no longer my cage. It was my fuel. One evening, after a long presentation, Mia found me on the rooftop of the venue, staring at the city lights. You disappeared after the applause, she said. Not a fan of praise? Not used to it, I said with a small grin. Feels undeserved. You built that pitch from scratch. You earned every clap in that room. I looked at her. You really think so? I don't flatter, she said simply. You were brilliant. For the first time in months, I believed it. We stood there in silence for a while. She leaned on the railing beside me. "You've changed," she said softly. "How so?" "You're not running anymore." I let out a breath. "Maybe I just stopped hiding," she smiled. "Good, because people who hide rarely win." Her words struck deeper than she knew. As she walked away, her perfume lingering in the cold air, I looked out at the skyline. The same city where everything once fell apart. Only this time, I wasn't broken. I was rebuilding, quietly, deliberately, with fire in my veins. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the calm, a voice whispered, "I remember every word, every betrayal, every laugh. The world took everything from me once. Next time, I'd take it back with dignity and tact." "Ethan." "Honey, please come tonight," Mom said over the phone, her voice trembling with that familiar mixture of guilt and hope. "It's just dinner." "One evening," I sighed. "Who's going to be there?" A pause. "Too long, Mom." "Your brother," she finally said, "and Lena." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush whatever part of me still believed in peace. "They're engaged," she added quickly. "I didn't want you to find out through someone else." My grip on the phone tightened. "Engaged," I repeated, tasting the word like rust. That was fast. "Please, Ethan, just come." For me, I didn't say yes, but that night I showed up anyway. The restaurant was warm, too bright, too full of chatter that didn't belong to my world. I spotted them immediately, Ryan's hand resting on hers, Lena's laugh rehearsed to perfection. "Ethan," Dad said, standing to shake my hand. His tone was stiff, like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Dad." "Son," Ryan greeted me next, smiling as if the last time we spoke hadn't been the night I found him in my bed. "Long time." "Not long enough," I said before I could stop myself. Lena looked up, eyes glossy. "Hi, Ethan," I nodded once. "Lena?" The tension was thick enough to taste. Mom tried to fill the silence. "Isn't this nice? All of us together again," Dad muttered. "Define nice." Ryan chuckled awkwardly. "Come on, let's not make this weird." "You already did that," I said quietly, taking my seat across from them. He blinked, pretending not to hear. Dinner started. Meaningless conversation over steak and shame. Ryan talked about his promotion. Lena complimented the wine. I smiled when expected, spoke when required. "The mask fit better than I thought it would, so, Ethan," Lena said, her voice trembling. "How's work?" "Better than ever," I said, slicing through my meal. "You'd be surprised what heartbreak can do for productivity." Ryan's fork froze mid-air. "Still holding on to that, huh?" I met his gaze. "Some debts take time to collect?" Mom gasped softly. "Ethan, please," I leaned back, calm. "Relax, Mom, I'm just talking." Dad's jaw tightened. "You call this talking?" "Dad," Ryan began, but Dad stood abruptly. "I've had enough of this farce. Congratulations on your engagement. I hope you choke on the cake." He threw his napkin on the table and walked out. No one spoke for several seconds. Mom whispered, "He didn't mean that." "He meant every word," I said. "Ethan," Lena murmured. "I'm sorry. I never wanted things to end like..." "Don't," I interrupted. "Don't insult both of us with a half apology." Her eyes filled with tears. "You think I don't hate myself?" "I think you don't hate yourself enough." Ryan slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough, Ethan." I smiled. "You're right." "It is." He stared at me, jaw clenched. "We're trying to move on." "Then move," I said softly. "Just not through me." Mom reached for my hand. "Please, sweetheart." "It's been months." "Let it go," I turned to her. "Forgiveness isn't peace, Mom. It's poison dressed like mercy." Her lips trembled. "He's your brother." "Not anymore." I stood, placing my napkin beside the untouched dessert. "Thank you for dinner, Ethan. Enjoy your engagement," I said, looking directly at Lena. "I hope you find what you traded me for." She flinched. Ryan stood halfway, fists tight. I walked away before either could speak. Outside, the night air felt cleaner, colder. My reflection glimmered faintly in the restaurant window. Calm eyes, steady hands. No trace of the man who broke months ago. My phone buzzed. A message from Cole. "How'd the family dinner go?" Me, better than expected. Cole. Meaning? Me. "I finally know what I'm going to do." The streetlight flickered above me. For the first time in months, the fire inside didn't burn aimlessly. It had direction, shape. I took one last look at the restaurant, at the silhouettes behind the glass laughing again as if nothing had happened. Let them laugh. Let them toast their lies, because tonight, I stopped being the victim, and somewhere deep in the quiet storm of my thoughts, the plan began to write itself, patient, deliberate, unstoppable. Every betrayal deserves its echo. Mine would be beautiful. When I asked Mia to marry me, it wasn't on one knee. It was over coffee, plain and calm, like I was asking her to stay a little longer. She looked up, blinking. "You're serious?" "I wouldn't say it if I wasn't," I said, meeting her eyes. Her lips parted in disbelief, then curved into a soft smile. "You don't even have a ring," I shrugged. "I'll get one. What matters is the answer." Her laughter filled the space between us, light, unguarded. "Then yes," she whispered. "Yes, Ethan, I'll marry you," I smiled back. It felt real. It even felt good. But under that warmth, something colder pulsed quietly. When Cole heard the news, he nearly dropped his drink. "You're marrying her already?" "Yeah." He leaned forward. "You sure this isn't about them?" I stirred my coffee slowly. "Who?" he snorted. "Don't play dumb. Ryan, Lena. The two people you still don't name without a pause." I looked out the window. I've moved on. Cole studied me for a long time. "You're too calm." "That's how I know you're lying," I smiled faintly. "Maybe calm is what revenge looks like." He raised an eyebrow. "You're really doing this?" "I'm not doing anything," I said softly. "I'm just inviting them." Wait, you mean?" I nodded. "To the wedding." Cole leaned back, whistling low. "Damn, that's cold." "It's fair," I said. 2 weeks later, the guest list sat open on my desk. My hand didn't shake when I wrote their names, Ryan Adams and Lena Cole. No hesitation, no guilt, just ink on paper. Mia walked in, carrying swatches of fabric. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just finishing the list." She smiled, unaware. "Send it to your family first. Your mom will love being included. She'll cry either way," I said quietly. Mia laughed, not catching the undertone. "You're terrible at pretending to be excited." "I'm just not used to happiness," I said. She reached for my hand. "Then let me change that." For a moment, her touch softened everything. But ghosts don't fade that easily. When she left the room, I sealed the envelope myself. I drove to Ryan's office instead of mailing it. Walking through those glass doors felt like walking into a storm I'd already survived once. The receptionist smiled. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" "No," I said. "But he'll want to see me." When Ryan saw me standing in his doorway, his smirk flickered. "Ethan, wow, this is unexpected." "Relax," I said, handing him the envelope. "It's not what you think." He tore it open. His eyes moved across the invitation, and for a brief second I saw it, that flicker of unease behind his mask. He laughed. "You're inviting us to your wedding. That's bold." "Just thought it'd be polite," I said. "Family and all." He leaned back. "You've got some nerve?" "Or closure," I said. He studied me. "You're serious, dead serious," he whistled. "Lena's going to freak." I shrugged. "Her problem." He laughed again, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You've changed, man." I smiled faintly. "You have no idea." Later that evening, I parked outside their apartment complex. The lights in their window glowed faintly. I didn't go up. I didn't need to. My phone buzzed 10 minutes later. A message from Lena, "Ethan, I got your invitation." I stared at the screen. "Me. Good," she replied almost instantly. "Why, me? Because you should be there." No typing bubbles followed. Just silence. I slipped the phone into my pocket, the ghost of her hesitation playing back in my mind. Her hands must have been shaking when she opened that envelope. I could almost see it. Mia called later that night. "My mom wants to help with the seating chart." "You okay with that?" "Sure," I said. "You sound distant," she teased, "just tired." "Long day, you sure?" "Yeah, I'm fine." But fine was a lie that tasted too familiar. When the call ended, I poured myself a drink and stared at the invitation proof on my desk. White and gold. Simple. Elegant. A wedding built on love and secrets. Every name on that list had a role to play. Some would smile. Some would burn. I traced the edge of the invitation with my finger, hearing Ryan's laugh echo faintly in my head. He thought it was bold. He didn't realize it was a warning. I wasn't planning a wedding. I was building a stage, and when the day came, I wouldn't need to say a single cruel word. They'd ruin themselves, slowly, beautifully, naturally, just the way karma works. And I'd be there, smiling. The ballroom buzzed with laughter, the kind that fills every corner but never reaches the heart. I stood near the edge of the crowd, glass in hand, pretending to enjoy my own engagement party. The chandeliers threw light across the room, but all I saw was shadows, familiar ones. Ethan. Ryan's voice cut through the music. He stumbled toward me, glass already half empty. Man of the hour. I smiled tightly. You mean groom of the hour? He clapped my shoulder too hard. Same thing, brother. You always did like taking the spotlight. Spotlight, I said. You're the one holding a drink in an audience. He laughed loudly. Guess I can't help it. Success does that, Mia approached, graceful as ever. You look like you've had enough, she said to Ryan, tone polite but cool. Ryan winked. You're lucky, Mia. He's always been the serious type. Guess that's why I took the fun jobs off his hands. I tilted my head. Fun jobs? Oh, you know, he slurred. Those contracts you lost last year? I picked them up. Nothing personal, just business. The crowd nearby chuckled nervously. I kept my voice even. You mean the deal I built from scratch? Yeah, that one. He laughed, raising his glass. Guess you taught me too well. Lena tugged at his sleeve. Ryan, stop, he brushed her off. Relax, babe. We're all family here. Family, I repeated quietly. That's a word you use too easily. Mia's hand slipped around mine. A silent warning. Ethan, she whispered. Not here, I forced a smile. You're right. This isn't the place, Ryan smirked. Still the bigger man, huh? Always were, I met his gaze. Not always. Lena looked up suddenly, her voice fragile. Ethan, I'm sorry about everything, Ryan groaned. Not this again? No, Ryan, she said softly. You should be the one apologizing, he glared at her. For what? For being successful? For moving on? For ruining what didn't belong to you? I said, setting my glass down. The silence that followed sliced through the room. Then I smiled, polite and sharp. But that's in the past. Tonight's about new beginnings. Ryan blinked, thrown off by my calmness. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. He walked away, dragging Lena behind him. Mia turned to me once they were gone. What was that? Just history repeating itself, I said. History doesn't have to repeat if you stop feeding it, she replied quietly. I didn't answer. I just watched Ryan laughing again across the room. Too loud, too empty. Later that night, when the guests had thinned out, I found myself on the balcony. The city lights shimmered below, blurred by the fog. Mia joined me, wrapping her shawl around her shoulders. You disappeared fast. I needed air or space from your brother. Both. She leaned against the railing beside me. You were quiet tonight. Not the kind of quiet that comes from peace. The kind that feels like you're holding something back. I'm fine, I said automatically. Liar, she whispered, smiling faintly. You can fool everyone else, but not me. I exhaled. He still gets under my skin. Every word, every smirk. It's like he wants me to hate him. Do you? I stared into the night. I did, for a long time. Maybe I still do. But it's not about him anymore. It's about what he took from me. The version of myself I lost trying to survive it. She touched my arm gently. You can't rebuild yourself out of anger. It'll collapse again. I'm not angry, I said softly. Just awake. Then wake up to something worth living for. Her words lingered. I turned to her. You don't understand. They broke something in me. Then let me help you bury it, she said. The way she said it, quiet, certain, hit deeper than I expected. Mia. She stepped closer, eyes steady. You don't need revenge to win. You just need to live better than the people who hurt you. I searched her face. You think I can do that? She smiled. You already are. And before I could speak again, she kissed me, soft, deliberate, a promise instead of a question. When she pulled away, I felt the weight in my chest shift, lighter somehow. I don't know if I deserve peace, I admitted. You don't earn peace, she said. You choose it. The city stretched endlessly below us, lights flickering like fragile hearts still trying to stay alive. For the first time, I realized maybe revenge wasn't my fire. Maybe it was my chain. Mia reached for my hand. Come inside, future husband. People are asking for you, I smiled faintly. Let them wait a little longer. She laughed softly, walking ahead. I followed slower, watching her silhouette in the doorway. Ryan's laughter still echoed faintly inside, hollow and forced. He hadn't changed. But I had, and I finally knew. I wouldn't need to destroy him. Truth has a way of doing that on its own. The morning sun felt too calm for what the day meant. I stared at my reflection, not at the tux, not at the boutonniere, but at the eyes that once begged for closure. Today they didn't. Ready? Dad asked from the doorway. As ready as I'll ever be, I said, adjusting my cufflinks. Funny, isn't it? The last time I saw Lena in white, it wasn't for me. He gave a half smile. Let today be about you, son. Not them. I nodded, but deep down, I knew they were still part of the storm I'd survived. The ceremony hall buzzed with laughter, glasses clinking, and camera flashes. Mia looked radiant, not because of the dress, but because of how effortlessly she smiled through the chaos. You're quiet, she whispered, looping her arm through mine before we walked in. Just thinking, I said, about how peace can still exist after war. She squeezed my hand. Then don't fight anymore, I smiled faintly. I'm not. Not today. As the music swelled, we walked down the aisle. Faces turned. Applause echoed. And there, in the front row, sat Ryan and Lena. Ryan's smirk was faint, but his eyes twitched when he saw me. Lena couldn't hold my gaze for even a second. Her fingers fidgeted with her clutch, knuckles white. I kept walking. At the altar, the officiant's voice blurred into the background. I barely heard the vows until it was my turn. I looked at Mia, and then deliberately at them. I promise, I said slowly, to never betray the one who stands by me. Even when I'm at my lowest, a hush fell. Even the air seemed to pause. Lena's eyes glistened. She lowered her head, shoulders trembling. Ryan shifted uncomfortably, jaw tightening. Mia didn't notice. She was smiling, tears in her eyes, thinking my words were about us. And maybe they were. In a way, they had to be. When she said, I do, it felt like a seal closing, not just on our vows, but on everything that came before. The reception was louder, brighter, almost too alive. People laughed, toasted, danced. I stood at the edge of it all, holding my glass but barely drinking. Ryan approached first. His tie was loose, his grin the same old arrogance painted thinner this time. Guess you win, huh? He said, raising his glass. Beautiful wife. Big company. Even your dad looks proud again, I smirked. It's not a competition, Ryan. He chuckled. Everything's a competition. You just finally started playing it right. Maybe, I said quietly. Or maybe I just stopped playing your kind of game. Lena joined us before he could reply. Her eyes were red, her voice brittle. Congratulations, she whispered. Thank you, I said. She swallowed hard. You meant that vow, didn't you? Every word. Ryan's arm slid around her shoulder, too tight, too forced. We should get going, he muttered. Stay, I said. Have dessert at least. Lena looked like she might cry again. I can't. They left before the cake was cut. Later that night, after the guests thinned out and the laughter softened into distant echoes, Dad found me outside, standing under the fairy lights. You all right? He asked. Yeah, I said. I actually am. He handed me his phone. Thought you'd want to see this. On the screen, a news alert. Mercer Holdings faces collapse. Investors withdraw amid allegations of fraud. Ryan's company. I stared at it, then looked up at the stars. So it begins, I murmured. Dad exhaled. You didn't do this, did you? I smiled faintly. No, but life has a funny way of keeping score, he nodded. Sometimes karma doesn't need help. It just waits for the right audience. I was done waiting, I said. But I guess karma wasn't. Mia walked out just then, barefoot, her dress slightly wrinkled from dancing. What are you two whispering about? Just old ghosts, I said. She leaned on my shoulder. Then let them rest. You're married now. You have everything you once lost. I kissed her forehead. I know. And for once I don't feel like I'm pretending. The night air was cool, carrying laughter from the hall behind us. For the first time in years, it didn't sting to breathe. I looked back at the glowing windows. People I loved, people who stayed. Somewhere, maybe Two faces realizing that what they took from me had turned to ashes in their hands. Ready to leave? Mia asked softly. Yeah, I said. Let's go home. As we walked away, the lights faded behind us and I couldn't help but smile. Not the vengeful kind, the quiet one that comes when the war is over, because revenge hadn't destroyed them. Truth had, and I didn't need to lift a finger. The office door clicked behind me, and I looked up from my reports. Lena stood there, pale, trembling, her hands gripping the strap of her bag like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Ethan. Her voice cracked. Please, can we talk? I leaned back in my chair, calm, letting her wait. You've already spoken, I said quietly. She swallowed hard. I came to apologize. For everything. For betraying you. For existing in your world long enough to hurt me. I finished for her. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't realize. I didn't know. You didn't just lose me, I said, my voice low, steady. You lost the version of me who would have forgiven you. Her lips parted. She wanted to argue, to explain, to cling to some thread of hope. But I stayed still, silent. I understand if you hate me, she whispered. I don't hate you, I said. That requires energy I've spent elsewhere. She blinked, confused, desperate. Where will you go from here? I stood slowly, my movements deliberate. Forward. Away from what used to hurt me. Away from people who never deserved my trust. Her shoulders sagged. She took a step closer. Please, Ethan. I shook my head. This is goodbye, Lena. Her hands fell to her sides, trembling. She opened her mouth, but no words came. I walked past her desk without looking back. My office door closed softly behind me. Outside, the sunlight felt different, lighter, unbroken. The kind that didn't carry echoes of betrayal. I didn't watch her leave. I didn't need to. Somewhere deep inside, I felt it, peace. Not the hollow kind that comes from pretending, but the quiet, earned kind. Weeks later, news reached me. Ryan's company was in shambles. Partners backing out, deals collapsing. Pride burned down his empire without my hand guiding it. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I simply felt the calm satisfaction of truth unfolding naturally. Cole stopped by my office, noticing my composure. You okay? I am, I said. Better than okay, free, he studied me. No anger. None left to waste, I said. Some people take themselves down, and I finally understand that I don't need to push them. The world does it for you. Mia popped her head in. Coffee break? I smiled. Perfect timing. As we walked toward the kitchen, the city hummed quietly outside the windows. The hum wasn't background noise. It was life moving forward. My life, my choices, my peace. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need confrontation. Silence and truth had done what I couldn't have done with. And that was enough. Even Lena, even Ryan, even all the years of betrayal gone. What remained was mine, freedom, peace, me. The city lights shimmered below us, blurred by the soft hum of evening air. Mia leaned against the balcony railing, her laughter light and effortless, the kind that makes everything else fade. You always find something to laugh about, I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. She turned to me, eyes sparkling. Life's too short to carry ghosts, Ethan, don't you think? I inhaled deeply. I used to. Every betrayal, every lie. I thought I'd never stop feeling it. She nudged me playfully. And now? Now, I said, looking at her, at the city, at everything I thought I'd lost. I'm free. I'm not the man who was broken. I'm the man who survived. Mia tilted her head. Survived, huh? Sounds powerful, I chuckled softly. It doesn't feel powerful. It feels quiet, like finally catching your breath after a long fall. She reached for my hand and I held it, letting the warmth anchor me. You've done more than survive, Ethan. You've rebuilt. Not just the company, not just yourself, but your life. I nodded slowly. It took time, patience, a lot of quiet thinking, and letting go of things I couldn't change. She squeezed my hand. And revenge? I laughed quietly, almost bitterly. Revenge taught me nothing. Karma has a way of showing the truth without my interference. I don't need to be the one to deliver it. Her gaze softened. Then what's your story about now? I looked out at the skyline. The lights blinked like memories I'd once carried too heavily. It's about remembering that pain can be a teacher, not a prison. That the people who hurt you aren't the end of your story. They're a chapter, a lesson in disguise. She leaned her head on my shoulder. And the man you were, is he gone? I smiled faintly. The man I was. He's still here in memory, but he's not running my life. I've learned to carry him lightly, instead of letting him weigh me down. Mia laughed again, soft and carefree. You sound peaceful. I admitted. Not because life stopped being hard, but because I chose how to face it. I chose myself. She looked up at me, lips curved. Then maybe some endings aren't sad after all. I whispered almost to myself. Some endings aren't sad. They're just honest. Her hand tightened around mine. Honest can be beautiful, Ethan. I turned my gaze back to the city. The lights reflected off the glass buildings, flickering like stars caught in steel. For the first time in years, I felt no anger, no ache, no emptiness. Only clarity. The ghosts of the past had nothing left to teach me. I had already learned everything I needed to know. Betrayal doesn't define you. Pain doesn't trap you. Survival doesn't mean carrying grudges forever. Mia's laughter broke through my thoughts again, a reminder that joy still exists after devastation. I realized I had been waiting for permission to be happy, and no one had to give it to me. I pulled her close, letting the night wind brush against us, carrying the faint hum of life beyond the balcony. You know, I said softly, I never thought I'd get here. Here? She asked. Here, I said, eyes on the horizon. Standing above the city, feeling whole, feeling free. She rested her head on my chest. Then you've come a long way, Ethan. I kissed the top of her hair. Longer than I ever imagined. And I know now that surviving isn't just about getting through the pain. It's about learning how to live after it. The night felt endless. But I didn't want it to end. Not yet. Not when I finally understood who I had become. A year ago, I would have been a man consumed by anger, by betrayal, by shadows. Today, I am not him, I am me, and that is enough.